Hello everyone, and welcome to the Character Forge, where I take characters from various media and turn them into a D&D 5e build. I use point buy, optional class features, customize origin, and fixed hit points for simplicity's sake. Sometimes with some homebrew and variants to make things work just a little better, and sometimes purely by the books. Let me know what character you'd like to see made in the comments below. Today we'll be working on Toji Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen, to ride that hype train of what has been one of my top 10 all-time favorite manga. Toji is a prime example of the I have no fancy magic cliché being done right. He's everything I wanted from Lee that we never got due to the character getting dropped, along with most of the cast really. So what are we going to need to put together our friendly neighborhood, basically serial killer? Assassin. That's just a serial killer that's legal really, and he's not even legal. In any case, we're going to need to be an intimidating and skilled threat on the battlefield without having to rely on any fancy magic or weird shonen energy. Any energy you would have held was kind of transformed into raw beefcake power instead. Unfortunately, D&D doesn't play nice with characters that are physically powerful, fast, and sturdy, but we'll do what we can. Alongside raw physical ability, you need the skill and analytical mind to back it up. In total, we want a master combatant with incredible stealth, detection, and tactical abilities. Now on to mechanics. For ability scores, we want 18 in strength, constitution, and dexterity. But we can't get that. So instead, we'll go with 10 strength, 15 dexterity, 14 constitution, 12 intelligence, 13 wisdom, and 8 charisma. We'll use skills to make up for that lacking strength as best we can, and you're no slouch when it comes to judgment, observation, and tactics, but you're definitely lacking in social graces of pretty much any sort. Now onto race. You could swing this in a lot of directions. I recommend half-orc or Goliath if you're not wanting to do what I'm intending, variant human. I know, what a surprise, it's almost like having a feat is very important for covering all these abilities in these shonen characters. In any case, you get a language, plus 1 dex and whiz for a total of 16 and 14, as well as proficiency and intimidation. Next you get a feat, the main reason we're going this route. For this you want Mage Slayer, which is universally accepted as pretty bad, I know. So ask your GM about a little homebrew and use this variant instead. Expand the range of your anti-casting attack and do a bit more against spellcasters. It's a hyper-specialized feat, let it be good. If you don't want it though, or your GM isn't okay with the variant I made and didn't want to nerf it or alter it to their own tastes, go with tough. Or just make another race at that point that isn't a vanilla human. Now for background, we'll lean into the shady younger adult life more than when you were born. As originally, you were from a noble family that was well known for their sorcerer's blood and innate magical abilities. However, you left at quite a young age due to being their so-called shame of the family. Going elsewhere to learn of the world and gain your own skills, hone your own talents, and sinking into the shadier communities of the world. As you began taking on those jobs, your skill set began to expand into those darker bits of knowledge. Take a variant on criminal for proficiency in investigation and insight, as you began to learn to understand your environment and people. Important to not get stabbed in the back in this line of work. Next, grab proficiency in 2 tools. Take the Forgery Kit for fake identification, and an Herbalism Kit to patch yourself up properly in a world that's full of magic and healing when you don't have any of that. We'll have access to some other shady stuff soon via class features, don't worry. Now for class and levels, I heavily considered going Monk, and honestly, if you want to have a more efficient build, you probably want to go that route. But if you want to embrace the idea of a complete non-magic user that relies on tactics and ambush to kill an enemy in quick, overwhelming force, this build will be for you. We're starting out with Rogue, so standard D8 hit die, proficiencies to use Dagger, Rapier, Call to Saber, and start slashing. You also have proficiency in Dex and Int saving throws, and of course Thieves' Tools and Thieves' Cant to round out some of your shady supporting skills. For your primary skills, go with Acrobatics, Athletics, Perception, and Stealth. Athletics will help balance out that 10 strength, and the rest I feel is obvious. Let our master assassin to be cook. Expertise in acrobatics and stealth will also ensure you'll pass most physical checks with flying colors and have an excellent stealth to maintain that ability of never being detected while behind someone. Finally, sneak attack. To stab beloved characters through the chest and shoot an unsuspecting girl through the head after a heartfelt moment. This manga's built different, I swear. Second level rogue, cunning action. Zoom and run away fast as you can or slip into cover after you get tossed through some buildings. 3rd level rogue gets the assassin archetype. You're now proficient in disguise and poisoners kits, and you get assassinate, letting you wait for that perfect moment to hit a level 20 archmage with a backstab when he's already low on spell slots and suffering 3 points of exhaustion. 4th level rogue gets you the alert feat, because if you use this right, you'll guarantee the activation of your assassinate feature with +5 initiative and the inability to be ambushed yourself. 5th level rogue gets uncanny dodge for when you have to eat one of that same mage's eldritch blast that sends you flying through several buildings, because man, why did you accept this contract? You're level 5. 6th level rogues get you expertise in athletics and perception to better make up for your 10 strength and also improve one of the most important skills in the game. 7th level rogue is our cap of the class to get evasion, because sometimes uncanny dodge just isn't enough, especially when even when low on spell slots this mage is still cranking out 5th and 6th level spells. What GM designed this encounter? Someone from 1st edition probably. 8th level we're switching over to fighter. You're finally getting into the other benefits you have to deal with enemies your level that aren't an over-leveled Buddha wannabe. You get a d10 hit die, basically any weapon, armor, or shield proficiency you could want, a fighting style, take blind fighting or dueling to represent those ridiculously keen senses and being able to detect invisible enemies when you specialize in killing mages that like to go invisible. You also get second wind for when you finally fail your dex save against a spell and come out mangled, but decide you're going to keep fighting anyway, instead of listening to your instincts to run away. 2nd level fighter gets action surge, so that when you do land your sneak attack, you then proceed to continue stabbing the mage 3 more times. Once you get to level 13 anyway. 3rd level fighter gets you the Battle Master archetype for superiority die, making up for your I am better abilities without needing any ki or energy. Take that, monks. You also get proficiency in alchemy supplies, because making items is going to be your best friend with this build to support your lack of magic anything. For your initial maneuvers, take ambush, because it's the crux of your entire combat style. Tactical assessment to push home your clever planning, and menacing attack to hit even harder on a sneak attack while also scaring even a high-end archmage to death for a moment, mostly because 3 points of exhaustion is nasty for saving throws. 4th level fighter gets you +2 dex because man have you started to fall behind a bit in the scores. 5th level fighter is an extra attack to wombo combo with sneak attack and dual wielding. Can't waste the one opening you managed to create through all your hard work. 6th level fighter is another +2 dex or mobile. Either is honestly a great option at this point. Sometimes feats outweigh stats once you reach this range. 7th level battle master, you get know your enemy to rapidly analyze your target and locate their weaknesses. All the more reason to be patient and examine your prey first. You need every opening and bit of knowledge you can get with this build. You also get precision attack to help better your chances when the initial ambush fails to get sneak attack when you need it mid-battle. And trip attack for the same reason. There's a reason you knocked the archmage prone and just kept stabbing. Advantage to melee attacks helps a lot. Finally, our 15th level capstone is fighter. 8th level fighter, take either tough, mobile, or final +2 dex just to cap it off to a nice maximum of 20. Any is honestly a solid option. So in summary, how'd we do? What's the playstyle like? First off, I highly recommend talking to your party properly before the game. Let them know the kind of playstyle you're aiming for with this build. You thrive on ambush rounds and examining information to maximize the chances of success. Make sure they're down for that. Second, ask your GM about using the crafting items rules from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, using tools to create basic poisons, potions, alchemist fire, and so forth. Toji in the series may not do this, but considering the setting, this is easily going to be one of the key components to making this build work, and his fantastic roleplay flair. Some may allow custom poisons and potions, others may limit you to just making the equivalent to snake venom, but regardless, it's amazing flair and will help. Ask them if you need the poisoner feat to make this work. It could easily be worth it to replace one of your ASIs. Another alternative feat could be dual wielder to really maximize the attacks per round when you finally exit stealth, though Toji only dual wields when absolutely necessary by the looks of things from what has been showcased so far. If you do go that route and take the dual wielder feat, make sure that you also replace your fighting style with 2-weapon fighting, otherwise you are crippling yourself. Now, all the fun stuff set aside, how viable is the build? Honestly, as long as you take the time to prep and have a proper ambush round, you're kind of a monster of damage potential. You are mobile, excellent for scouting and information gathering, and have a decent hit point pool. But if you don't get off that ambush round, you're going to struggle. Assassinate is a key component to this build, like half of it is centered on that. Alert will help balance the weakness out, but beware of rushing into battle or not thinking a conflict through. Also, that AC is rough when you run out of solutions to half damage or take no damage through mobility and stealth. So, in essence, try not to abandon your instincts too, and maybe run away from that Archmage. Even as fatigued as he is, he does still have access to at least one 7th level spell. That always helps too. Now, as a little treat at the end, and if you would like to add a little bit of spice or offer your GM ideas, here's some Homebrew. This is a nice free little item representing Toji's ace in the hole. Obviously you're not going to be starting with this most likely, but show it to your GM. Ask about its integration somewhere in the campaign as a potential reward or an artifact you found. Numbers and effects can easily be tweaked, but hopefully you enjoy it and the GM is okay with at least some of the concept. Some nice little anti-magic shenanigans that aren't just saying counterspell repeatedly. Also, having a dispel magic on hit is always such a neat idea to me, because in many cases it doesn't really do much. And then, in some cases, it does so much. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoy, hopefully the GM at least takes some of the idea and likes it. I had fun designing a baseline lore that I think can fit in almost any setting. You can pretty much replace any of that with whatever your GM's world showcases of the equivalent. And a unique effect to bypass the annoyances that is a shield spell, always nice. Alright, that's the end. Thank you all for watching to the end. I know not many do, so I really appreciate it. I want to thank all my patrons and channel members for supporting me through all of this nonsense, but especially Disney, SPS, and Varen. Thank you for maintaining such high tier pledges for so long, even through the waves of inactivity. If you'd like to join them, patrons get to vote on future builds, offer me ideas, have special ranks in the chat, and also get access to custom commissions for videos at certain tiers. But even without being a patron, you can at least give me some ideas on what character you'd like to see, and then they get to vote on it. So, what character would you like to see me do next? Anything about this build you'd do differently, or any specific homebrew you'd like to see as a possibility to round them off? I have debated making a universal anime clothing set of armor for people to use. We'll see. I use unarmored stuff so much for these builds that it kind of gets out of hand, and honestly, it really affects some of the builds in a negative way, and I feel like it binds me when the reality is they just don't want to put big heavy armor on their shonen protagonists. In any case, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you all have some ideas on what you'd like to see next. My list kind of dwindled a little bit with my activity going down, so hopefully this will carry you over. I'm working on a Gojo build to pair off with this one next, but let me know what you'd like to see next aside from that. Maybe some Nobara, or maybe we'll deviate a little bit from Jujutsu. I know it's like all the craze and everyone's thinking about it, but maybe I should differentiate a little bit and scatter out the character builds. But in any case, I hope you all enjoyed. I'm glad to be back, and make sure you love each other and love yourselves. Have a wonderful day. See you in the next video.